Sorry, I still haven't uploaded anything. I feel like I just have like a bunch of cached episodes. So like I think I just like edit them all and just put them all like in sequence at some point. It'll just be like a season. Yeah.
Edit them all together into one big one.
Massive episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode.
Yeah, we should do like a George Carlin, a Dan Carlin thing where it's like 6 hour long, just 5 part things.
Yeah.
It's what history nerds like. They like long form. Yeah.
That's true, but I was thinking that one thing that sets our podcast apart from other podcasts is we don't rely on the facts so much.
Yeah, exactly.
We
Yeah.
use them as hubs to sort of talk around.
Yeah, just like real historians. Yeah.
Right. Well, if you're thoughtful enough, like you can mine any one datum for endless jokes and endless thoughts. So,
exactly. Oh god, it's like the monkeys and the typewriters. Endless stuff we can do. Yeah. Apparently, I didn't know they actually did that. They actually tried putting monkeys in a room with typewriters.
They did.
Yeah, nothing came out of it. It was like nonsense.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, there was one monkey apparently just like he just pressed A like a 10,000 times. He just like one key. So yeah, no Macbeth there. Yeah.
I like this one. I think it's funny that monkeys are so stupid. He pressed that and didn't trust that the other letters would make ink.
Yeah. He was I like this one. This is good.
Yeah. He wasn't even curious.
Yeah. I kind of like that. Yeah, like they're not even interested in civilization. They don't even want to. Like, they probably could if they wanted to, but they're totally content just shitting and eating bananas and stuff and violence. Yeah,
monkeys are stoics.
They are stoics. They really are. They're like they've accepted the primal state because they know that like civilization is an endless loop of decay and you build up a civilization, it peaks, then it goes down, then they know that, so they don't want to.
It would be.
They've seen us fail.
It would be funny for the Unabomber to meet Jane Goodall.
You
spend all these time around monkeys, but you still use a computer. You didn't learn anything.
Yeah, it's like, why haven't you returned to your base ancestor? Yeah. You coward. Yeah, that'd be so funny. His dream was probably like he just goes to the zoo and like a monkey reaches out his hand and like they like take him in and he just becomes one of them. Yeah. He just lives with the monkey. Yeah.
Yeah. He wants a Tarzan family.
Oh yeah, no, it's my favorite meme. The only meme I like is the monkey memes where it's like these like propaganda for like it looks like fascist propaganda, but it's all monkey propaganda. Where it's just like return to monkey. It's like take the monkey pill, like, come back to where you belong. It's just like looks like it's so funny. Yeah. And it's just like man destroys, monkey creates, and it's like a monkey making something with a stick. It's so
why is propaganda so funny, and why are monkeys so funny?
I don't know. Monkeys are I've always asked that, like in comedy, like monkey with cigar, funniest thing ever. Monkey doing anything human-like is hilarious. Yeah. Yeah. Monkeys in clothes, funny. Monkeys typing, funny. Like it's crazy.
They're like kids, but stupider.
Yes, yeah, they are because they're much more violent, much more aggressive.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they have the same emotional range, basically.
Do they?
Same thing. I guess. I know there was a thing like there was a gorilla, like an adult gorilla actually has this mental capacity of like a 5-year-old child, which is pretty impressive. It's not bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Adult gorilla.
So like, yeah, just at that point they branch off. But yeah.
Mozart wrote his first Requiem at 5 or whatever.
Really?
I don't know.
Was it good? I believe that.
The first thing he wrote, I think, was among the first things he wrote was "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star." He just wrote that.
Yeah. With his like little child harpsichord, like the child version. Yeah.
The kitty harpsichord.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, just like being a prodigy and how shitty that would be, but you do know what you're gonna do for your whole life now.
Yes, yeah, it is. It sucks though, because for us regular folks, we could just shop around and like, and like we're maybe content with doing like a trade and then like I like piano, but like he's like its whole purpose is just has to be piano. Yeah.
I think I would rather somebody just had made me a child prodigy at something.
Just make you practice endlessly and
because no child just thinks I will be good at violin and gets
exactly
gives them violin and tortures them into being really good at it.
I totally believe that because I never believed like the people that like there's like a star athlete who's like, yeah, I was just obsessed with when I was 3 years old I was watching basketball and I knew I wanted to be there. It's like, no, you didn't. You don't even know what that was. You were just a dumb kid.
Yeah.
Your parents was kind enough to take you to basketball practice
Right.
and commit to
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
I my parents didn't have any ambition for me whatsoever.
No, same here. I wouldn't say they were bad parents, but they were very like neutral. They were like
Yeah.
this, like they will you figure it out. And,
Yeah, he's gonna do what he wants. It's like an arranged marriage, but for your vocation.
yeah, exactly.
Like little kids in India, it's like you're gonna be married one day. Then they're like, I don't know what that means. You know,
Yeah, I guess I'll do it.
what's bimetallism? What is marriage?
Oh god. Well, I actually did know a kid who his parents like made him do trombone like all through high school. He actually went to like a music school, like not like one of those Juilliard kind of academies, very well regarded. And then he just like something flipped in his head. Then he's like a national park ranger now. It's
Yeah,
very weird. Yeah,
but at least he got to know he really didn't like that thing. I don't think.
exactly. And he also got very far. Like he got to where you're supposed to get. That was like, ah, this isn't for me. He just kind of imploded. It just like came back.
Right, but I
Yeah,
think being a polymath, being a Renaissance person isn't just something you do, it's the type of personality you have.
I know.
If you live in a society where you spend 40 hours a week doing something and the rest of
You'll
that
get good
time
at
is
it.
spent being eclectic, then you're not going to get good at anything at all.
Right, yeah. I know it's the problem with like the work week because like you work so much that you only have like a few sparing hours to get good at shit, which is not enough to
Yeah.
it's like yeah.
Most of that is spent crying.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Playing video games, crying, catching up on the TV, and then you
Yep.
don't have any time to get better at, ballet or whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah, it's mostly like I'll get some Dark Souls in and I'll go for a lonely walk and then I go to bed. So that's my whole
Go for
life.
a
Yeah.
lonely walk.
Yeah.
I love it.
Uh
Lonely walks. No, I did.
I sometimes say that I tell myself that like I'll come up with good ideas for writing on the walk, but it never happens. So there's never a moment of
What is what is
ooh,
both
tough.
inspiring and upsets me is that
Mhm.
people like Abraham Lincoln, who really spent his whole life doing law, was not a polymath, and then didn't read anything except the Metamorphosis of the King James Bible, Shakespeare, and Euclid.
That's all. So I guess that's all you have to read.
Became a
Yeah.
master writer. I think he's the best writer word for word of anybody America produced, except maybe Henry James.
Wait,
Maybe.
so he read Euclid for the math, I assume, and then like Bible for the religion.
Well,
The
not for anything in particular. He just enjoyed it.
I guess it was like a pretty common like that's like a back then it was like books aren't like you kind of just read it as a thing. I guess it's not like a like I guess you don't have to be a deeply religious person to like enjoy it. You're just like, oh, I'll just read some Bible.
He
Like, yeah,
certainly wasn't. There's a famous story of,
yeah.
he just like Jefferson, when he was running for office, people would call him an atheist and things like that. But
Ah.
part of that was, that was partly based on a story, and I don't know how true it is, but I haven't seen anything to invalidate it
Let's just say it's true. Yeah.
after having looked it up a couple times. But there was a preacher who said, everybody in the church, stand up if you think you're going to heaven. Now stand up if you think you're going to hell. And then Lincoln just stayed sitting both times. And then he had never gone to the church before. And that's why the preacher had everyone stand up, because he sort of knew Lincoln wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, Mr. Lincoln, you didn't stand up for heaven or hell. Where do you think you're going? And he said, Congress, and left.
That's pretty funny. Also, it's like a sneaky. It's like saying Congress is purgatory because it's like
Yeah.
that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's a good reply. God, they're so quick. I feel like every anecdote of like a famous person, it's always like all these zinging quotes and like get like comebacks and jokes.
Well,
All very
it was
clever
much
guy.
harder to get things in print than nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing reached you unless somebody said something really witty, and people didn't have anything to do but go out and say witty things if they were.
That's a good point. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you because now we talk so much virtually. Back then, it's like you just have to be really eloquent, like in person, or like really powerful.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
because now it's like you can just tweet. Yeah, it's not a big deal.
as far back as writing has stretched, like maybe to the time of Thoth, who knows? People have written that language was getting worse. It's degenerating. It's going,
Yeah. Oh,
and
sure.
nobody cares about it anymore. That I was reading an old Japanese author, Kenko, I think is his name.
Oh, okay.
but he was saying that he thought the language was just being destroyed by the youth. And he's like, they used to say this, which was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Now they say this, which is not that beautiful.
I know it's a very fine line because like at some it kind of makes it basically look like just like a ornery old man who's like yelling at the kids. But like sometimes I like I'll like it's weird how now even spelling mistakes you can just look over it. Like I see spelling mistakes in like subtitles. I'm like, no one vets this. Is everyone just to let this pass now? There's
They
no
don't
yeah
care. Yeah, I look at those things and I think somebody should be paying me to do this.
yeah
That's,
exactly
I would do this for free.
yeah. I mean like I work with people who just like misspell shit all the time. I'm like, oh, that's a bit weird.
Yeah,
There's
and there's
no
like a
more.
sense you develop from that. I haven't there are only a couple things I have trouble spelling regularly, like receive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Those IEs are hard.
Yeah,
That's hard. Also, all the French derived words like bureau, I always get.
yeah, but if
Yeah.
I have to, if I can think about it, I'll spell receive the right way. But if I'm just kind
Yeah.
of unconsciously thinking about the thought I'm trying to put across, I will misspell it every time.
I was gonna say also because of the internet, like kids are like they're typing colloquially on like YouTube comments or whatever. So like from a young age, so like they're learning how to write in school, but they're also just like typing weirdly on their devices. So I feel like maybe because I guess when we were kids, like I only wrote for like school shit that was being corrected and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, it was weird.
I had always written. That was something weird about me, but
Yeah,
I don't know. It wasn't. It had no purpose. I mean, today
I
everything
know.
you write doesn't have purpose anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a split second in there of 2 years of my life where little things I could would write would become jokes.
yeah,
I would be
exactly.
working on something else like a story or an essay, a play,
And it becomes a joke.
something like that, and then I'd write a joke and I'd just cut it out and be like, that goes in the act, and then
I know. No, I think we've talked about this before. How like joke writing has like ruined us because now we're just like brevity is like the only thing we care about. So
yeah,
it's
it causes you to write epigrammatically.
yeah, because like you're just like I gotta get to it fast because there's like a goal to it, which is just a punchline.
I
Because
think
like yeah.
um, I think John Ruskin criticized Seneca's aphoristic style. He was kind of using that in
Oh really?
because an aphorism usually has to like put forth a moral, whereas an epigram is more just a witty thing to say.
God, I was gonna say that first one sounds like the worst type of writing. It's just a joke where instead of a punchline is a moral. God,
Yeah,
that sounds so boring. Oh my god, yeah.
yeah. He wrote in epigrams, and then John Ruskin said it was tiring to read him because it's like all tasting something that's all sauce. He said,
Oh god, yeah, it's just one liner after one liner.
"Yeah,
It's hard. Yeah, that's
I'm going to be
horrible.
right back."
Oh, you're okay. Here, I'll pause it. And we're back. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know
There we
whether
go.
it was John Ruskin. It was one of those old timey art critics.
Old
But
timey guys. Yeah. That's pretty interesting. What was it? What was the thread before all this? What were we talking? Oh yeah, because I was saying like I feel so lame because like I'll text like someone younger and they like there's no punctuation. It's just like stuff I don't know. But then all my texts that feel so lame because all like this stuff is capitalized. It's like all have periods everywhere. Like I don't know. It's also very hard to tell anyone's mood over tech because like I always put in like exclamation points or like
mhm.
try to convey but now it's like everyone just seems mad at you when they text you. I don't know. I
That's
really get like annoyed. Yeah.
well, I expect people to communicate it just by their voice, but nobody's developed a voice anymore.
Oh my god, it's so true. No one has a voice at all.
No.
Everyone has the same voice. That's the problem. Yeah.
You know Louise. Louise has a voice, and you can tell everything she means by her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She has a real voice. No, someone had the best point. I don't know. I feel so unoriginal. I'm just like fucking sourcing stuff I've seen online. But like, someone had the best point that like people have now adapted their voice to sound like a TED Talk or like a YouTuber. Like they actually sound like a podcaster. Like they've actually like changed the way that they talk to sound like that just from watching so much of it. So
Yeah,
like when people talk or like if they're like in a discussion, they'll like go to TEDx mode and they have like this weird like flair of like they're on a stage. It's so weird, but like ever since I can't stop seeing it now. It's like it's like
yeah.
ridiculous.
It's definitely true. It's a form of sensationalism. It's a way to mask
Yeah,
that you're not saying anything at all.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's also it's a very safe thing. It's like if you're doing a debate, you can just like pull up some shit someone else said, just like imitate it, and just
Mhm.
like you're just doing an impression of someone who knows stuff,
Yeah,
and it's like so weird. Yeah.
there was a criticism Christopher Hitchens had of McLaughlin. I can't remember the guy's first name, but he,
Oh yeah.
of course, headed the McLaughlin group, and he, which Hitchens called the McLaughlin, but he,
No, it's not his best. I think he could do.
it's,
Yeah.
it's not, but it's so,
Yeah.
he was such an intelligent man that stupid jokes like that are so endearing.
That's hilarious.
But he,
Yeah.
he had a, like many, literary geniuses, he had a penchant for puns that was weirdly placed.
Yeah.
I mean, Joyce had it, Nabokov had it.
They
He,
all have all the greats do puns.
they all had it. I
Yeah.
mean, Martin Amis wrote, who's Hitchens' best friend, wrote an essay about Hitchens, in which he, derided his tendency to pun.
Oh yeah.
He said Hitchens is given to saying things like, or as Bush calls it, "No Child Left Behind," which, if you take it in its Latin form, could be "No Child's Behind Left."
That's actually fucking hilarious. Like in
So,
Latin, it's like Doda. Like I don't know what the
I
Latin for that would
know.
be. No Charles behind.
He was talking about the Catholic Church, of course.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's so funny, but yeah,
That's a great diss.
but you
It's
can
like a
just see
multi-level.
his smirk when he says things like that, or as I call it, the McLaughlin.
Yeah.
He'll nod forward, or as I call it, the McLaughlin. And yeah, but
That's great.
he once said about McLaughlin that he mastered giving a softball question. I think it was McLaughlin. I can't remember. It was one of those people. He said he mastered giving a softball question in a really rude way. It's like he seemed like he was asking something really hard just because of the way he asked it, but actually, if you
Oh.
really look at the question he's asking, it's something that's supposed to get a bubbly answer from a politician. It's
Oh
something
wow,
that's
that's
supposed to be
smart.
easy to answer. But that's what everybody is doing nowadays. They all want to seem like they're laying down knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh, for sure. No, it's totally like yeah, because there's a weird like passive aggressiveness to it, where it's like they're too afraid to really ask the more direct questions. So they'll ask a weird like roundabout thing that makes very little sense, but it's like a trap for you to fall into. So
yeah,
yeah, it's like I feel like everything's a trap. Like if you answer it one way, they'll fuck you over, or if you answer the other way, they'll fuck you over.
and
Yeah.
there's no like administrative. I mean, in England, they're much more worried about that sort of thing because during prime minister's question time, because they don't want to telegraph to, like, say, Margaret Thatcher what they want to ask. They'll
Oh
pretend
yeah.
to question something about her going to some village on the outskirts of East Anglia, and they'll say, "I hear you're going to this village," and they
Yeah.
think, "Is that true?" And she'll say, "Yes." And then they'll say, "Well, if that's true, are you aware that the people of East Anglia think your position on the Ireland question is..."
Yeah.
And
It's like a
they'll just hide
bait
it
and
like
switch.
that. Yeah, but
Oh my god. I know it's just depressing because now it's like talking to your 20-year-old friends is like being in British Parliament, which is not
you
fun.
know,
Yeah.
and they're not necessarily very intelligent either. Part of what lets them get away with that sort of prevarication is they've been to Cambridge, they've been to Oxford. I mean, they've had Oxbridge educations, and they can articulate a thought.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so hard for people to do that nowadays. They have to pretend to be very direct, because if they were,
Yeah.
nobody has.
It would expose them because if you actually like yeah because they don't know enough of the base material to like back up anything outside of their little string, so which was also a problem because like I think like people actually don't read like the foundational theory of like what their beliefs are, so like they only know like surface level arguments that like they've gotten from other people. So like yeah, so you know like once someone asks a question that like isn't covered by what they heard from that podcast, they're like left in the open. So it's like yeah. So then it's really weird. But yeah, like I doubt a lot of people have read like the foundational texts or whatever of like whatever they're into.
I mean,
It's
they could,
like
if they've memorized the bell jar, but they can't work out what their opinion
yeah.
on anything.
Yeah, it's really weird though because now like, and, like politics has gotten to the point where like it's really funny like it's so beyond like what it was like. There definitely should be like new labels, because now it's like I doubt like conservatives have like are reading conservative, foundational stuff, or like I doubt like anybody is reading. It's just like a shit
No,
show.
what
Sorry, I'm just talking in a weird circle. I don't even know what I'm saying, but yeah.
I mean, those terms are almost meaningless now. I mean, what
Yeah,
conservative
exactly.
um, would ever mention Edmund Burke?
Yeah, because like I guess like in the '60s it was like if you were like a leftist, that means you are or you believe like Marxism. Like actually, there's like bullet points, or like if you're like a like if you're like a fascist, you are literally like these things. But now it's like everything's this weird mix, like it's all just strange soup.
Yeah,
Very weird.
I mean, leftism used to be, intimately connected with Marx, and it no longer is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, because and also we're in like the U.S. where it's like, yeah, like because it's all inside like a United States like framework, so like it's all strange because it's all like in relation to the U.S. politics, which is weird.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's strange. Yeah.
it is, and there are some things about. I mean, Marx saying that the warfare between classes was necessarily violent.
Yeah.
Did some damage, but was true.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Well,
it is like a necessary thing for like one class to get to the other. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's funny now because like because now like the U.S. is in this like weird neoliberal era where like like it's very wealthy. There is like still class disparity, but then like it's weird though because like everyone on both sides wants to keep the country. That's the thing. It's like so it's like there's a weird like you can't step too far out. So everyone's actually pretty close to center, but then like nothing happens because it's always the same
yeah.
outcome because it's like because the status quo is always kept, so like it's very hard to like change anything when you're still in the bounds of this original concept of, like, for the country. So
It's too bad, and
yeah, it's still like like you have to break some eggs to break it to make an omelet, but like most liberals would never want to break an egg. They're like, but I love the egg, and they're like, no, but the egg is killing people all the
yeah,
time. You gotta,
that's certainly it. I mean, that's the
yeah,
difference between a liberal and a leftist is that
yes,
a liberal
exactly.
will always come up with justifications for whatever it's going to be. I mean, whatever any Democratic president does, a liberal is going to come up with a justification for it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very funny. Yeah, like they're very much capable of racism or Islamophobia or like imperialism. They just find like a weird way to say it. They're like,
Yes.
yeah, and they're like, no, we had to drone them because it was weird. You wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
They're like,
Leftism is a belief system, and liberalism is a way to justify whoever decides they represent that belief system being in power.
oh, it is. Oh god. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah. Sorry that I'm not sure why I had to take that very long road to come to a really weird point. So
Oh,
that
I
was
don't
pretty
think it's a
boring.
weird point at all. I've been thinking
Okay.
about this a lot actually
It's
because
just like very hard to articulate. Like I don't know how to put into words. It's like a weird
yeah,
weird
but
thing.
I think the difference was spelled out really well during Clinton's
Yeah.
presidency because he brought the under the guise of making the Democratic Party more centrist, he brought it way to the right.
For sure. Well, it's funny that that's such a like under talked about point of history because like the Soviet Union collapses in like '91, and then like there's this huge vacuum, and the U.S. is like there. Then Bill Clinton like the goes to the wars of Democrats. They actually probably had a chance to change a lot of things in the long run, but then he kind of just set the stage for neocons to come in and take the country over. Yeah.
And a lot of the left at that time, even people who came to their senses later, were still kind of sad about the collapse of the Soviet Union in a way.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like George Galloway said, it was the worst thing that ever happened in his life.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Oh God,
things
George
like that.
Galloway.
He's not a good representation of leftism. But I just
No, he's kind of a tool. I don't like
yeah.
that. That's hilarious. Well, I remember, yeah, because also like that collapse was bad, and then like it was interesting because then like the U.S. kind of had that weird step into like the role of like because in the Cold War they were like combating the USSR. That was their whole identity for decades, and then like in the '90s, then like with the Yugoslavian civil war and like it's kind of those like weird conflicts, they kind of stepped into that like world policing role that was very strange. And then like
Yeah.
that kind of set the stage for like the war on terror. It's a very weird time. It's like because now all the effects of it are kind of evident now, but it's like 20 years ago. But it's yeah,
It
super
certainly
weird.
is. I mean,
Yeah, And it's strange because like I don't know, I feel weird, but like there's some of those world police things I get because it's like I think some of them were justified and some of them weren't, but like obviously could have been handled better because like the U.S. bombed Serbia, which Serbia was killing a lot of people. Like I don't know, like they had to get rid of Milosevic. I don't know.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, but there are so many things Bill Clinton did that are so typical of a Republican president as we understand them.
Oh sure, especially
Um,
domestically, like he put a lot of people in jail for sure. That was
put a lot of
horrible.
people in jail. You know, the
Yeah.
Ricky Ray Rector case, right?
May I don't know by name, but maybe I've heard of
The
this.
Ricky Ray Rector was a murderer who he shot a cop and then pretended to turn himself in and then just started shooting at some more cops and then just shot himself
Oh,
in the temple.
oh
He
wow.
lobotomized himself. And
Hmm.
so they in the hospital they were able to save him. So he was living and in jail, but he was completely brain dead,
Yeah.
totally brain dead. The to the extent that when he was given his last meal before his execution, he saved some of it for later. Yeah, they'd
Wow.
given his last meal, and he said would save some of it for later. But because Bill Clinton was coming up to kind of a turning point in his career, and he needed to show that he was tough on crime. I can't remember why. He decided
Yeah.
to personally oversee the execution of this guy.
Jesus Christ. I'm a lobotomized guy.
Yep, lobotomized
Ah.
guy. And then there were people at the prison who resigned because of it, saying that it wasn't right that they just put to death a retarded man,
I
basically.
never heard about that. That's awful. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
you wouldn't hear about it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's and also there was the bombing of Khartoum, which was while Clinton was having some of his.
Oh, I remember that when like it
Yeah.
was like it was like medicine inside, and then like they blew it up. Or it was like a
Yep,
factory. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
yep, and then
yeah,
they
that was
got
bad.
sued by the factory,
Yeah,
and
that
then
was horrible. Yeah,
it's so funny that like you just don't hear about it, and
no, no.
also
Well,
that
I mean, especially because back then, like even in 2002, you wouldn't hear about it because everything changed so fast. Like no one gave a shit about 3 years ago. It was like now it's just about terrorism and the new conflicts. So
yeah,
it kind of just got
yeah,
washed away. Yeah.
and he was really good at burying that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a very it's weird how all that stuff is kind of buried. Like no one, like none of it is relevant anymore to the public at all. Like the fact that there were two wars that were like 10 years long, like no one even thinks about it anymore. It's really weird.
Yeah, and
Strange.
it is inexplicable how he's avoided being Me Too'd. That's
I know it
just
is. It
inexplicable.
is crazy. Yeah.
There is as much evidence of him being a rapist as Trump being a rapist, and one side won't admit Trump is, and one side won't admit Clinton is. But
Yeah. No, I mean,
they're
I
both
get.
racist, rapists.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah,
I guess it's what you get with immense political power, especially when your wife is in there too. Like you just have like a dynasty of people. Like
I
it's
know.
pretty
Yeah,
crazy. Oh, that's great. So,
brilliant. It's
anyway, I feel like this would be like a less like funny one. It's more like a cautionary tale episode. It's a good,
yeah.
yeah.
I was writing about history the other day, and I wrote. I was writing about some massacre. I was like, it's a real historical cautionary tale, and that tale is caution, history, don't get anywhere near it.
Yeah,
People say we're
exactly.
making history, get out of there.
Oh my god, that's such a good point. Just any moment when someone's like history is being made tonight, it's like, well, it's
Yeah,
not going to be fun. Yeah, this is
yeah,
going to
we're
be.
leaving.
Yeah, that means people are going to die. That's
Yeah,
horrible.
you've
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
get the hell out of there. In fact.
It's like this is a big moment for the country. It's like that can't be good. It's like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, man, it's crazy. I was thinking about a few things. That was one I wanted to ask you about, like just the role of lying in politics. I read a lot that that's just necessary for politics. You can't get
Oh,
anything done
sure.
unless you lie. Like there's the story of Jimmy Carter saying, "I will never lie to you, the American people," or whatever. And then there was one senator turned to another senator and reportedly said he would deny the very nature of politics.
I feel like Jimmy Carter was like maybe actually believe what he was saying because he's just such a weird guy, like such a dumbass. He was kind of
He's so strange.
very weird guy.
He was so strange. And there
Him
was
and
like,
Gerald Ford, yeah.
yeah. There were so many in the previous administration. They tried so hard to avoid a Carter White House because they were so afraid of him. He's
Oh god, yeah. Oh,
so
it's bad,
weird.
and I feel bad for him too, because like because of the way he fucked up the hostage crisis with Iran, like it made Reagan like so much more attractive
I
and
don't
like
know about
helped
that.
him.
I
Yeah,
don't.
because I think because like people kind of viewed it as him fucking it up, and like they kind of thought, oh, you're kind of like bowing down to these terrorists, and then it kind of helped like the Republicans like get Reagan in, because Reagan
Yeah,
was like way more tough on it. So which I feel bad. It's like, yeah, you kind of fucked that up. But yeah.
yeah, certainly. Speaking
Oh
of
man.
lying, I mean Reagan's a good person to bring up when you're talking about lying.
Oh my god. I mean, trickle down economics is the biggest lie ever. And it's such a lie. People still believe that now. Like people talk about like Elon Musk that way. Like if he gets big, we'll receive some benefit. It's like
Right.
no one even told you. Like no one even said that would be happening.
Oh my
Like,
God, it's so
yeah.
weird. Trickle down economics.
Oh god, I know. That is the funniest thing. Like imagine being dumb enough to believe that. It's so funny.
If you've ever watched rain falling down a window and you try to predict where it'll fall, you have no idea at any point where it's.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a self-evidently bad metaphor.
Oh my god, I know. Yeah, trickling down. Also, it's like it pretty much means that you're content with being a fucking parasite on the bottom of the forest. Just eating detritus that some rich guy's throwing down at you. Like you're happy to have that role. That's hilarious.
I mean, trickles also are very small. I mean, what are we
Yeah,
talking about?
trickle.
A
It's like
trickle? How much is a trickle supposed to be?
it's
How
like
much?
how much of a bootlicker can you be? Like, yes, I would love some trickle down. I would love a little
We
trickle,
would love
please,
some
sir.
trickle.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
you
Some
know,
Oliver Twist shit.
there's a bunch of molasses on the other side of a wall, and just all these poor people just licking the trickle.
Yes. Oh my god. You're just licking the sweat off some rich
Just
guy's
licking
nuts.
the
Just
sweat.
awful.
But yeah,
Yeah.
also Reagan lying to the Israeli head of state that he was
Oh my god.
freeing of a concentration camp.
Jesus. He really said that?
Yeah, yeah,
He
he
was
did.
wait, he was I was there in 1945. Like I was around. Holy shit. What a
He
piece of
just
garbage,
flat
dude.
out lied. And some people think he actually believed it, but he just wasn't there. Of course.
That's amazing. It
Yeah.
really is like the proto like Trump, he's really, yeah.
Mhm.
That's
The first,
amazing.
I know the first known instance of that is in 1982, but there were a few times where he claimed it.
That is so horrifically offensive too. It's like, yeah, I saw you go. I was there. Yeah, yeah,
I know,
yeah, yeah.
and there's no response to that. There's
I
no.
know.
He's the
What's
person,
the Israeli guy supposed to say? Like, actually, Mr. President, you weren't. But okay, yeah.
and among the really like mainstream right, the like paleo conservative right, I guess like who you think about when you think about like waspy conservatives, like he's
Oh,
their
sure.
god. He's
Oh, yeah.
their god.
No, he kind of started the whole, lower the taxes for the rich.
Oh,
Just he like all those trade agreements shit. Yeah, like
yeah,
that was. Oh my god, that's horrible.
yeah.
I mean, it's also horrible because like those 8 years of his presidency fucked up the next 30 years for America. So we only could tell what 8 years of this guy could do.
Yeah,
Too.
it was. I hate to quote Hitchens so much, but he just said so many quotable things about everything.
I mean, he was really big back then too, so he's
Yeah, I
pretty.
mean, but I mean, he just would encapsulate certain ideas in much better language than anybody else.
Yeah.
But he called Ronald Reagan avoided script. That I thought was just perfect.
What does he mean by voided script? Like,
Yeah,
just
just like a vacuous script, an empty script. You
that's
just
so funny.
a stupid
Just a
actor.
vapid guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he
Uh,
called him a cue card reading voided script.
that is so funny. Yeah, of course. It's like
Yeah.
all that like inspirational stuff he does is like so dumb. He's like tear down that wall. It's like that's not fucking beautiful at all. It's
No, he also said let the missiles fly at one point.
yeah.
By the way, great foreign policy. Great
Let the missiles
diplomacy.
fly.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. I mean, and like fucking like Iran Contra, and there was a the cocaine that was like being brought into the country. Just insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Certainly.
god.
But it's also that is an upsetting thing to me. Just I mean, because of my tics, I have to go where the good language is, and in every like period, there are one or two people who had the best thing to say about everything.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, in the 80s, it was Gore Vidal and Hitchens. And then
Oh
before that,
sure.
it was going to be, George Orwell. And then you had,
Yeah. Like Sartre or whatever was right.
and
Like
now
this.
there's nobody. There's just,
No, exactly. You're
yeah,
right. It's like like now it's like, hey, there's like a journalist who is like kind of cool on Twitter. I'm like, that guy's kind of nice. He knows what's going on. It's like pretty much. But yeah,
yeah.
you're right. There's no like. I would say that yeah, you're right. There is no Christopher Hitchens of right now.
And yeah, but I mean, especially not on the left. I mean, there's so much tenderness around language right now that it's
Yeah.
hard to like write directly.
Exactly.
I mean, even if it's correct that we need to use these sorts of language, it
Oh
just
my
makes it
god.
harder to write. But like people on the right, like Matt Walsh. Do you know Matt Walsh?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I don't really like it, but yeah, I've seen him
He's a
on
piece of
Twitter.
shit, but he
Yeah, yeah, he's
writes well,
terrible. Yeah.
and nobody on the left does. Nobody on the left
Right.
writes as well as
It's
Matt
hilarious.
Walsh.
I'd almost say that Anthony Bourdain was like almost that guy because he was like very well spoken. Yeah, he was.
Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah. Anthony Bourdain was a weird dude because he
Yeah.
just like ate things his whole life and then outwrote everyone at the New Yorker one afternoon.
Yeah, it's crazy, and he was like a very like popular person, like very popular, very well traveled, like had a lot of good opinions. Like, and he had the essay about Henry Kissinger. Like,
Mhm.
he was a pretty cool guy. Like, he would, yeah, that's yeah. But you're right. Like, I wish there was like a guy like that who was writing a lot, like had a lot of output,
Yeah.
and like, yeah. I guess there's like for some small stuff. I like for Middle Eastern theorists. There's still a lot of those guys, which is interesting. Like, there's still like a lot of like Rashid Khalidi writes a lot of stuff about like Palestine.
I'd like to
Uh,
read them because I don't know anybody who writes well on the left anymore. I think Noam
yeah,
Chomsky sort of he's ancient. He's lost his powers.
he's so out of touch too because like he's written some pretty problematic shit. Like,
Yeah, like what?
yeah. Well, I know he was kind of like pro Saddam, and like he also like didn't he was against the U.S. Intervening in the Balkans, and like he had some pretty weird stuff about that.
And the whole Iraq thing is really interesting, and I must not know enough about it because I looked
Yeah,
into it quite a bit, and it seems like it should be a leftist issue.
kind of. Well, yeah, because I mean, I might catch some strays for this, but like, yeah, I don't know, like. For some reason, like the left in the U.S. just loves to cozy up to dictators because they're always like, "Oh, it's a sovereign country," and it's like we shouldn't interfere. But it's, that doesn't mean that the country you're talking about is like an amazing utopia. Where just like they literally eat up propaganda from other countries,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
like
we
yeah,
shouldn't have been in Vietnam, but I think Vietnam made us into a sort made a real non-interventionist left. Like,
exactly, and
don't go anywhere at all costs. I mean,
yeah.
the we can all agree the Iraq War was conducted incorrectly.
Oh no, for sure. But also, there's a weird
Yeah,
thing with a lot of Western leftists, like they're obsessed with like secular governments in the Middle East, and so
yeah.
they view like Assad or Saddam as secular leaders, but they're not secular. They're the most sectarian people ever. Like Saddam was,
No.
he was literally killing Shias all the time. Fucking fucking Hafez Assad and his sons have done all kinds of horrible shit to tons of small groups in Syria for a while. So
I
like,
mean,
yeah,
there was I think it was Slobodan Milosevic who was killing a
yeah,
lot of Muslims at one point, and then
yeah. No, I mean that was the Bosnian
Saddam
genocide. Yeah, yeah,
Saddam sided with him even though he was killing all these Muslims. So he wasn't like for Islam at all costs. I mean,
no,
that wasn't
exactly.
his highest allegiance. His highest allegiance was to dictatorship as an ideal.
Yeah, no, and honestly, it's like very lazy thinking because like, I think a lot of people they just assume that any country that is against the U.S. is good. So like
Yeah.
that doesn't make it that's such a simplistic fucking dumb way to think about stuff. It's like you're and then if a native of Iraq is like against Saddam, like oh you're like a native informant, you're just a shill for the West.
Yeah.
It's like shut the fuck up. It's like you
I
don't know
mean,
anything about
they
these
don't even
countries.
have. I mean, they're
Yeah,
anti-imperialist at all costs. I mean, even if they can insinuate that there's imperialism at work, they'll be against
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah, no, and it's sort of where the term like tanky comes from because they'll they literally have no problem with tanks in the streets if it's like anti-imperialist, but it's
Yeah.
so stupid. Yeah,
Yeah, and
and the worst is
they don't even have the wit to say, let's get the war going and have these
yeah.
imperialisms wipe each other out. That'll be great.
Yeah. It's so gross too, because then if there is like a grassroots revolution or revolutionary movement in a country, then the Western left will be like, well, this is clearly just a color revolution being funded by the CIA. This is not genuine at all.
Yeah.
So it's like nothing qualifies for them, but they would rather have like a dictator than like a grassroots revolution that doesn't check every box for them. They're
Yeah.
like,
Oh, on the
yeah,
secularism question, I wanted to
yeah.
talk about how Saddam Hussein claimed that Quran was written in his blood and had it displayed.
Oh yeah.
Like it was apparently definitely blood, whether it was
Oh god.
who knows. But
Yeah, like he literally had like a monument of like soldiers' helmets with like two swords on it. And, like he was like harking back to like old like battles from like the early Islamic period because like from the war with Iran.
and
Like, it was extremely sectarian.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was a verse of the Quran on the flag at one point too, wasn't there?
Yeah. Well, because it's funny too because like I think it's once again like people simplify it so much because like he wasn't even like religious. He just saw religion as a easy tool to nationalize the country.
Yeah.
So for nationalism, so like he kind of used Sunni Islam as like a national symbol, kind of the same way like fascists use Christianity as like a kind of thing, like during the Nazis, like lots of Nazis would remarry under Nazi Christendom to like they would like renew their vows, and it was kind of a similar thing. Like Sunniism became like a Ba'athist party symbol, but it was all just a ruse, just to, like get because he was afraid of like a Shiite revolution in the country. So
Yeah, I mean it's just a persistent refusal to pay attention to the definitions of words in the English language.
yeah,
And
exactly, and
on both sides. I mean, secularism doesn't mean you believe it or don't believe it. It means without religion.
yes, yeah, and it's funny. It's funny that also that like you would think Western leftists would actually like research more and they would know more about the country, but they're just as they're just as Orientalist and racist, I guess, as the right. Like they're very Islamophobic and like they reduce foreign countries to these like little like a chessboard, but it's like these are real people you're talking about, but they view other countries as like kind of inferior and not capable of making their own decisions. Like they really don't think people in other countries have the mental capacity to like you know have their own outcomes. That they
Yeah.
which is very imperialist in itself. That's a very imperialist way to think of it. So it's like
It is. I mean,
yeah,
and also we could talk
yeah,
about. I mean,
yeah.
the importation of the exportation of democracy to Iraq and how
Oh, which is
whether
also
it would
bad.
have been
Yeah.
better if we just overturned the regime and then left.
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole thing of like we really don't view people in other countries as people who could be responsible for their own lot in life, which is like very we and both sides really have that view, which is very damaging. Like, 'cause they're like, I literally had in college there was a guy who like in this group, this activist group, he like didn't know they had internet in Iraq, and it was like he couldn't believe that Iraqis had their own websites and could had social media. He thinks they're all like these little orcs and goblins who don't fucking understand. Like, it's so racist. It's very
Yeah,
bothersome. But
he
yeah,
thinks they're in mud huts. That's so.
yeah. Like it's like you're supposed to be the good guys here. It's like you can't fucking read a book about Iraq. They're not like
Oh,
savages. Yeah,
oh my
they're
God. I mean,
it's a very stupid. Yeah.
yeah, and then I mean, and then some people who understand that think, well, Saddam wasn't all bad because they did have internet.
Yes. Oh, I hate that. I
What?
know. I hate that. Yeah, it's like, or it's like he has like a token woman in parliament. So so I guess that
Oh,
covers it. But
oh my God.
it's funny because if someone tried that in the United States, they would sniff it out immediately. But in other countries, I guess it flies. So it's like,
Yeah, certainly.
yeah,
I mean, it's not about that. It's about. I mean, they may have had internet in 1984. Who knows? But
yeah,
it's about the
exactly.
just general level of fear you have to live under at all times.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's very weird. It's so very revisionist, I guess, because
Yeah.
it's very easy to like revise history, just make it fit your thing. But it's
Mhm.
hard to solve the. It's hard to admit that maybe your ideology isn't right all the time, and because I definitely had that crisis too, where it's like like there are things that there were writers I love who are wrong about a lot of shit, and like that was like very conflicting for me when I was younger because I thought like that I thought leftism would just be this like amazing answer to everything. Like
Yeah.
this is totally correct, but like no, like every ideology has flaws and it has to be repaired and updated like constantly to be better, I guess. Yeah.
It's better to be without ideology at all. It's better just not to think in those terms, it seems.
Oh, sure, yeah. Like it's good to have like a foundational belief, but you have to be very critical, I guess.
I don't
Because
even
you.
know about that. I don't think I have a foundation.
Oh, sure.
But I mean, there's
Yeah.
just. I mean, you should believe in the sanctity of human life and sanctity of
Yes.
freedom,
Yeah.
and that's about it. I mean,
It's probably more for like actual politics. Like what are the gears of the actual machine? Like that's like more like what would I want that to be like is kind of a thing. Yeah.
right, and that's more of a systematic understanding than
Yeah. I was gonna say like systematically, what's my belief? Like what would I actually want a country to be like? Or
like what kind of
yeah,
economy works. But
yeah. But no,
even that's not even necessarily based on ideology. I mean, you can.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
all kinds of leftists say that their ideal economy would be that proposed by. I mean,
Like Lenin or
by
Marx.
the
Oh, sorry.
Scandinavian
Yeah.
states, but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you're right. Because like because it's pretty much people kind of can fall into being really zealous, and then they'll never be critical, and like it's very hard to like actually do that genuinely. Because then it's very hard to admit.
yeah, I mean, it's whenever you say you're of the left, you automatically give people a false idea of what you believe.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I mean, if you have I mean, if you're moral, you automatically give people a false idea of what you believe by
Mm-hmm.
saying that. Uh, I mean, the Scandinavian states are big safety nets, which we ought to have, but they're
Oh
funded
yeah,
by a
like
lot of
oil and
a lot of oil,
fracking and all that shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
they frack.
that's true.
Yeah,
They frack all the time, baby. Yeah.
you frack, you frack.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, it's almost like language has to change. Just like back to our original point, actually, like it's like maybe the whole language has to change about things because the more we like compartmentalize or like separate things into categories, it's just like very counterintuitive. Like
Yeah,
you just get lost in like these definitions that have really lost meaning. So like because the definitions have lost meaning, we should just stop using them. They're fucking
yeah, like
useless. Yeah.
terrorism doesn't mean anything.
No, exactly.
Stopping.
Yes, because fucking anybody can be a terrorist for like you can like kick a mailbox down and like you get arrested for terrorism. Yeah, it's like it doesn't even mean it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just what you're called. I don't know, but
yeah, and like
like,
nothing. Yeah,
it's like people who've done an open mic once and say they're a comedian.
yes,
Like you can claim to be a terrorist after yes, kicking down one mailbox.
yes, and what's worse is people will believe you. They'll believe anything. Yeah. So because there's meaning and there is meaning and there isn't meaning and it's all mashed together in this horrible postmodern thing. And it's awful.
What are you? I'm a terrorist.
Yeah.
I'm a latent, nascent, repressed terrorist.
Yeah, it's like someone's like, I mean, there's literally people who are like trying to. It's like every week there's like a story. It's like some professor lied about being black to like become a professor. It's like she's just like, no, I am black. I am. And everyone's like, I guess she is. Okay, I guess she's just like.
I think using terrorist is just like a definitionless term of opprobrium would be really funny. Like,
yeah,
I lied and said I was black. You fucking terrorist!
Yeah, you terrorist! You are terrorizing me right now. This is terrorizing.
You are terrorizing me right now. Yeah, that scene from Mighty Python. Do you see him terrorizing me? You saw it, didn't you?
Terrorize. Oh man.
Terrorize.
It's almost like back in the day when like molest was like just be about someone just like kind of messing with you, like, hey, I would like to come here through here unmolested. It's like, oh, sorry, sir.
That's a great example of the changing of language because molest is meant to bother you.
To bother someone.
Yeah, it just meant to bother you. And
like, do not molest me, sir. I mean to pass. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was originally a euphemism.
Oh yeah.
That because it describes something horrible became a horrible thing to say.
Yeah.
That's the way language changes. I mean, you can.
Oh, for sure.
The definition has changed. That's why. I mean, it's true that language is always degenerating, but it's degenerating in something else. The definitions will change,
and then that degenerates. Then that yeah. It's
yeah,
all.
but it's. I mean, that's why we changed from Latin or Anglo-Saxon to what we have now. I mean, this is the degeneration of whatever they used to have.
Oh no, and some of it's great because now it's like so much more accessible to everybody else. So like if we still spoke Latin, it'd be like 4 people that understand it, and like nobody else knows what's going on.
Certainly, and
Yeah.
you can still make like more nuanced words using Latin, things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Dude, we should both learn Latin. It's a dead language.
yeah,
It's not getting any bigger. We could learn it and then just have a Latin podcast
yeah,
speaking
do
Latin.
podcast in all
Yeah.
Latin. Jesus, there would be one
Yeah.
like anybody who's educated enough to know Latin would listen to our podcast and be like, "That's wrong."
Yeah,
Wrong.
that's wrong. That's wrong. Yeah.
Like these guys are sort of funny, but they're wrong about everything, and
Yeah.
just
It's like
have the
these
facts.
jokes don't work in Latin. Like none of this works. Yeah.
These jokes don't work in
Yeah.
Latin.
Oh
Um,
god.
yeah, that'd be great. But
Yeah, just like having like a Gregorian chants the whole time, and we just do Latin over that.
yeah,
Cool.
absolutely. But they just, I mean, more than just the dissolution of the language is that words are used the wrong way all the time now.
Oh, for sure. Oh my god, I
They
know.
always have been, but
Yeah.
it's just a different set of annoyances.
I know. And it's like we can't complain about it because they'll just make us grouchy old
Yeah.
bastards. So yeah,
But
it is
there
what it
should
is.
be grouchy old bastards to keep everybody from doing this.
Yes, someone has to be waving a stick at the kids. That's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, racism was a term that meant, just believing that humankind was split up into different races.
Oh yeah.
Things like breeds,
Mhm.
and now it does not mean that.
Yeah, because now it's like you're disadvantaging another race, which is
Yeah,
which is actually funny because it's like you're kind of it's already like in a world where there are races and everyone accepts it.
yeah.
Now there's actually like
It's
contention.
acknowing the existence of race.
Yeah, which is horrible.
The
So,
current
yeah.
common usage of racist is racist.
Yeah, yeah. There shouldn't be any race.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, they're ethnicities. There aren't.
Yeah.
races.
Hey, I'm totally down for ethnic strife. I love that. Yeah.
I love what Thomas Pryor Gore said. He said, if there were any race but the human race, I would go join it. Yeah,
That's great.
but it's just like believing humankind's split up into different species.
Yeah, no, it literally goes back to like what do you call it? What's that awful thing with like what's the term? It's like it's very awful pseudoscience for like skull shape and shit.
Phrenology.
Phrenology, yeah, it literally it's like based from phrenology. It's like horrible. Yeah, it's like the worst shit ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like people like measure your lobe to see how big your brain. It's bad. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
That's very good. But
honestly, like just imagine a post-race world where, like everyone's just we just love like everyone's just like we're all celebrating each other's backgrounds. So it's like, but like there's no race, so it's like my Haitian friend is here and my whatever friend, and we're all that'd be a beautiful time. We're all just holding hands.
I think people like Colin Quinn are just kind of lone voices out in the songs where he's just like no, the cultures make you different.
Yes,
it's fine to be different.
It's also why he's like my favorite type of white guy. Like he understands other groups so intimately, and like he really loves other cultures. Like I think he's like one of the least. He's so cool. I just love him. Like, so cool.
But he's also said some of the most racist shit.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Particularly toward Patrice O'Neill.
Oh my god, their battles are so funny. But also, it's like you have to be so in tune with other cultures to even get what he's saying. Like, like it's amazing that he knows that much. It's like insane. Like, he's really observed. Yeah.
And all his jokes are based on so much knowledge.
Yes. Oh my god, it's great.
Tunisian back alley knife fighter.
Yeah, Tunisian. Yeah, you look like a Corsican pimp. That's my favorite.
Looks like a Corsican pimp.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the time I would most want to be in, like most want to be active in, and I would want to be a hybrid political and literary essayist / stand-up comedian in the 80s and 90s.
That's god, I know. Same. I'd probably say like a early 2000s comic in New York. I'd go for that. Just,
yeah. No, I would want to do 90s. Like I realized my happy place, the place I like escape to in my brain is New York in the 90s. It's Seinfeld. That's where I want to be.
It's kind of gritty, it's still like the rent is pretty cheap. So you have like an apartment in like the lower east, lower west side. Yeah, you're just no man, that was good. I think that was pretty like that's one of our more intellectual episodes.
Yeah, I
Not
think
bad.
we asked questions.
Yeah.
Good to
That's
ask
good.
questions.
And maybe someone will disagree with us and send us a mean letter. Yeah.
I hope so. Does anyone even listen to this anymore?
I don't know. I still have to edit them and put them out, so
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah.
I don't know. But
I'm hoping it's like a sleeper hit where someone finds it 10 years from now when we're both dead, and
yeah,
again,
we'll be like Mozart, George Orwell sorts of people.
yes, and people just like be rewatching the same episode to catch a little off remark,
Yeah.
memes. Oh, imagine my narcissism is already bursting. Good.
Yeah, people making memes of us. I don't know what that would be. For
That'd
me,
be
it would
horrible.
be
Yeah.
like pushing up the glass, like
Yeah.
yeah. It would be a photo of me, just a still of me like this, just
Yeah, like people with like shaving their hairline to match your hairline and like get like your mustache and stuff. Yeah.
people shaving their hair.
Yeah, they're like, look, I'm Max.
Like
Yeah.
when Queen Victoria wore that mourning garb all the time because her
Yes.
whole family died, and then everyone started wearing garb like that. That's what it'll be. People
Oh
will
god.
just be like shaving their head, just like
Yeah.
trying to figure out, like people who try to determine how symmetrical Wes Anderson's shots are, and like
Oh yeah, where it's like,
but it'll
look,
be just like exactly the mathematical, like
it's like they have like a curve. It's like a parabola perfectly done. No, honestly, like probably the greatest ego stroking I could ever have would be someone trying to hack me. Like I would be through the moon if someone hacked me.
oh
It would
yeah,
mean it would mean so much to me. I would like love it if someone
of course.
because it means you're good that someone want to hack you.
And distinctive.
Yes, it's the best compliment. I would love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, one can dream.
that's an old cliche, isn't it? Uh, uh, imitation's the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah, exactly. I love flattery. I love to be flattered. That's
Yeah,
all I like.
me too. I would love it. I would love it. I would love it.
So if anyone wants to flatter us, please.
Oh, I was speaking of flattery in my little chat room at work. We have this chat room where people send things to each other all day. I haven't met anyone in the chat room because the entire workforce has changed since we've all been working from home.
Yeah.
But they don't know anything about me, and I just lie on there all the time. They were saying, I just got on there and somebody had said, I don't know what the context was, but they said jail is not fun. And then I said, I once went to jail because I was mistaken for a very handsome bank robber. Flattering, but inconvenient.
That's so funny.
And then there was
like, who is this character? This guy's amazing. Yeah.
It was when the hurricane force winds had happened.
Oh yeah.
I was like, it was a good thing I was wearing a helmet while I was climbing that tree at 3 a.m. Or I might not be here today! Exclamation point.
Do people respond? It's kind of like
no.
yeah. Okay.
And then, well, my boss did respond to that actually, and she said, "You live a weird life, Max." And I said, "Yes, actually, I was climbing one tree with a helmet, and then the hurricane force winds blew me onto another one across the street, so I climbed down from that."
Oh god, that's so funny. Honestly, fuck your coworkers for not enjoying your imagination there.
I know.
That's gold. You give them the gold. They're like,
I thought it was so funny. They're just so like funny. Being on one tree with a helmet, being blown onto the other tree, and then climbing down from that one.
I'm so gonna do that, man. I love that. Yeah.
Oh my god, just lying to people is so fun. Did you see the thread I had where I was just lying to that one lady on Twitter, and then
no,
and then she said, I want to marry somebody who's okay with a shark wedding cake. And then I said, I am a baker who specializes in marine life. and then she said, really? I said, yes. And she said, can I have a shark? And I said, it's mostly prawns. and then she is like, I want a shark. And I kept trying to like get her to get a prawn instead. And I was like, no, the sharks, I don't know if you want to get a shark. It's very expensive. It takes a very long time. How about a nice prawn?
That's hilarious. Yeah, maybe a nice jumbo shrimp.
Yeah, jumbo shrimp.
Yeah.
I got a nice prawn.
Nice prawn. Oh god, I know. It's so you're very good at just appearing sincere. I think that's a good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah,
That's the best compliment I've ever had. Yeah.
yeah.
There have been times when, yeah, but Brian Higgins has been like, "Are you joking?" Right?
Yeah, like, is that serious? And I hate that too because people always think I'm serious, and
Mhm.
they'll be like, I can't believe you think that.
I love the way Jim Norton does it
Oh yeah,
when
sincere.
he,
I love literal Jim where he's
yeah, when he
yeah,
Ernest Jim Norton or
yeah,
whatever.
earnest.
Well, laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah. Oh, especially when like they're all hating on someone and he's like on their side, but he's faking it. So he'll be like, when they were trashing that
Me
guy's movie, and he's like,
too.
"Well, I think it's a good movie. It's like Clockwork Orange," and he would just like make him feel better about it. And they were just like, it was so evil. It's
I
actually
know.
worse than being mean. It's like so dishonest.
That's so funny to me. Yeah, and
I
it was
yeah,
Louis
I
shitting on that guy,
yeah.
Jim Norton building him up, and then
Yeah,
Louis.
yeah, he would build him
Yeah,
up and then like give him confidence, and then he would like say something like way too overconfident to Louis, and then Louis would just shut him down again. It was like the best. It was so
yeah.
funny.
I love.
Honestly, I fucking miss it because Jim Norton used to be like pretty like hilarious. He's kind of like toned it down. But
Has he?
yeah, he's definitely not as like sniping as he was. He was much.
When I saw him in New York, I think 2 years ago, he was extraordinary.
Oh really?
He was extraordinary. He had this bit about Ted Bundy. I can't remember that I remember being a
Yeah.
big thing. And then he was just terrifying the whole time, and I wasn't thinking about it. But two very attractive Australian women came up to me, and they were. I don't know why. That's never happened. But
Whoa.
I think maybe people who look intellectual are just way more attractive in New York.
Yeah, really?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. But like
Okay.
they came up to me, and that's never happened in my life, where just an attractive person came up to me who didn't see me do anything good.
Mhm.
Um, but they were like we really liked the show. Did you like the show? Who did you like? And I was like, I
Jim
like Jim.
Norton.
I was like, I like Jim Norton, and then they left.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They were like, which one was that? I was like, he was the terrifying one, but I just
Yeah.
like his technique. And then they were
He
like,
was the one who talks about having sex with prostitutes. And,
yeah.
yeah.
They
Oh god.
fecked off real fast.
They fecked off, mate.
But I still think it's inexplicable why they came up to talk to me. I have no idea why that happened.
Maybe they thought you were a comedian. Maybe you had like a comedian look. So like,
Maybe,
yeah, that's weird.
maybe. And I had like the big beard at that time, and I don't know what I was doing right, but I don't think I hadn't like showered in a long time. I was in the middle of New York with, I
Yeah.
was looking slovenly. I had like a t-shirt on and like jeans that were ripped, not fashionably, but because they ripped that day.
Maybe it reminds him of their like friend Callum from Perth or something. Yeah. He's like, oh, he looks just like Callum.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe they had come up to me. I couldn't
That's
believe it.
amazing. I know. I never believe any hot people's intentions. I'm like, what do you want from me? Do you want like money?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Yeah. It's
You
like,
want money?
yeah. What the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just immediately ruined it. Just immediately, I said the worst thing I could have said.
Jim Norton, I'm sorry. That's well. On that note, we will end.
Nothing would have happened
No,
anyway. But
or
it just would have been nice to have the company of two attractive people.
I was gonna say maybe you could have spent a little time down under, huh?
No, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
wouldn't have. I
No.
wouldn't have. But
Sure. Yeah.
like for one thing, I think I was in a relationship at that point.
Oh yeah. Well,
But
it's funny too because like I fantasize about situations like that, but whenever they happen, I don't like
yeah,
when things like that fall into my lap. I just don't even know what to do. It's like too much for me, and then I wish it never happened. You know,
yeah,
like it's also with, like you're talking to a girl who's out of your league, so you just like don't think it's gonna work. But then
yeah.
she's down. But then you're like, fuck, I didn't think this far. I don't want it
didn't
anymore.
think-
Like yeah, you're like I didn't think it was
Yeah.
gonna happen. Yeah. You're like,
Yeah, I mean, at that point, like, if I had been single, that would have been a dream come true, and I might have
yeah.
handled it well. But I think, but I mean, I knew that later on I would have had to maybe tell them, like, I'm deeply in love. Sorry
Okay. Yeah. I'm
about
in a.
that. But yeah, it was like one time when I was in a relationship, I was walking around downtown, and there was a young woman in a parka. It was the middle of winter. She slipped in the snow, and I helped her. I was like, "Are you
It's
okay?"
like a movie. It's like a movie.
Yeah, she like slipped. I helped her up, and she's like, I was like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm not used to this kind of weather. I'm fresh from the Carolinas." Like a perfect 10, and I like screamed in her face. I was like, "Fuck you!" ran away. No, it was just, but then I got out of there. I was like, "Good to meet you." And then,
Oh god, she's like, "Well, mister, you're just such a kind man." Yeah, yeah,
what a
like,
kind gentleman.
yeah, oh yeah. Would
No,
you like a mint
know,
julep?
I know better than that. My honor kicks in. I'm glad to say.
Yeah.
And then I just fucked off. I just got.
You're like, "Sorry, Dave, I'm taken." You just
Sorry,
like,
Dave.
you just
Sorry
put your
about that,
jacket over her
Dave.
shoulders and leave. Yeah.
One time, a long time ago, when I was in a relationship, I think it was my very first girlfriend. I was working at Blue Lemon, and
Oh.
there was a person there who used to work there and was just kind of friends with the whole staff. And she was not attractive, but fairly fun. And she came up to me, and she came up to me, and I said, "I already have a girlfriend and a mommy, so there's nothing you can do for me."
My god, you're an asshole.
I
It's
know.
horrible.
But then she told her friend that made her love me, and she was like, "I'll cut his girlfriend. I'll cut a bitch." And
Oh my god.
and then
Yeah.
so she and I went on one date or two dates where we kissed, and then I was like, "I think that's it. I think that's all I can do." But this was after I broke up with what's her name, of
Oh
course.
yeah.
But and then she started dating my cousin, and then like they dated for months, and then she beat him and stuff. So
Whoa. Oh my god.
yeah.
Good. Your chivalry can smoke out the abusers. So that's good. So
Yeah,
you know which ones to avoid.
like we kissed and then something was just wrong. I was like, "This is not good."
No, you kiss and she just grabbed your wrist very forcefully. And you're like, "Well, yeah." She just like grabs your shoulder all the time, like, "Hey, wait, stop power moving." Yeah.
She handcuffs me to a briefcase, and I was like, "This is toxic. Why am I handcuffed
to a briefcase? It's like yeah, that's a crazy kick. A briefcase.
Yeah, this is toxic." Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like those movies where they're like, "You're not going anywhere." They handcuff themselves to you.
Yeah.
Just
Oh no.
what?
No, she always gives you like a hearty slap on the back, like she's like your uncle. It's like, "Stop it, stop it." It's like, "Who's that?" She noogies you and stuff. Hey, you little squirt. Wait. Yeah, yeah. Hey, you little squirt. She's like noogies you, and you're like, "Come on, stop."
Oh, there was another thing because I uncovered that cache of Hitchens C-SPAN panels I've been watching, which is why I've been ruminating.
Hitchensing it up, yeah.
Ruminating on the Clinton presidency also because he was obsessed.
Oh yeah.
But there was one where he was talking about an article of his, and then Brian Lamb, the guy who started C-SPAN, was interviewing him and his brother Peter Hitchens, and said, "What issue is that in? What month was that in?" He said, I'm not sure. I know it had Brad Pitt on the cover. Do you know Brad Pitt? And he's like, "No, I don't know who Brad Pitt is." He's like, "He's the new sex bomb," is what he called him. And then, later on, somebody sent in a fax asking a question. And then they referenced pop culture, and Brian Lamb said, I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is?" And then Hitchens says, "Just because I know Brad Pitt doesn't mean I know everything." That's my favorite Hitchens
That's a
quote.
funny ass guy. You're right. I kind of want to be like a pretty much a facsimile of him.
Yeah, but I was
awesome.
thinking that even he was wrong about a lot of things, but even if he was wrong on every single point, I would listen to him over anybody else.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Because he had the most style of anybody alive.
Yeah, so much flavor. That's a problem. No one has flavor.
No.
It's sad.
Nobody's an independent thinker, so nobody has style.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, stop listening to the podcast entirely. Go into the woods, travel to a different country, get shot at by rebels or somewhere, and then have your own voice. Yeah.
Like, I hate saying it, Matt Walsh is the only person who has like a style I've really enjoyed recently. I mean, he says what he wants to say directly, and then when I like throw my phone across the room when I read it.
Yeah, you're like, Jesus Christ.
But if you don't know what he thinks, it's your own damn fault. He's not like waffling about it.
It's scary too, because like, if you're impressionable and you read something that well written, you're like, hey, this is good.
It sucks.
Yeah.
He had a take I thought was really honest. He said, this was right, this was yesterday. It was right after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died.
Right. Yeah.
And he said when there was going to be an appointment to the Supreme Court during Obama's presidency, I wanted them not to do it because don't like him. And now
Yeah.
I do want them to do it because I want conservatives to be able to appoint him. I was like,
Yeah.
people should stop being afraid to say that and making other justifications about it.
Yeah, it's like
I
he's
didn't
straight
want
up just being like he's straight
yeah,
up just being like, yeah, I know it's unfair. I just want to
yeah.
do it.
He's like sorry. he's just
Wow.
he's
Well, I hate him, but
yeah.
I appreciate his candor, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, that's cool.
That's when I was like, we need somebody like that on the left. We need somebody
Just
who's willing to.
yes,
That's such a that's appreciating a nuance.
just not mincing words. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be good.
not mincing words and not adding other definitions to them. We need somebody like that on the left. But who is there?
Someone will step up,
Who is
and
there? Yeah,
they will come from the website Live Journal, and it'll be cool. Yeah,
yeah.
they'll be big. All
Yeah, I hope
right.
so. I hope so. Yeah, we need just one person who's able to put themselves across in a
That'd be
good way
awesome.
and who's able to
Like
speak.
a young Bernie, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But
Yeah.
I like Bernie. I don't think he has much style, but I like.
No, exactly. Like a more eloquent.
Yeah, we want somebody who agrees with Bernie but is able to articulate.
Yeah, that'd
And
be cool.
I don't know. Is there anybody you can think of who's even close on the
No,
left?
they're all podcasters. They don't like right.
Yeah, they're all podcasts. They're
Yeah,
trying to have it both ways.
they're all from Brooklyn. Yeah.
Yeah, they're from Brooklyn. They're trying to be trendy, and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
They should be combative. That's it.
Yes.
There's just a lack of combativeness. While they're being combative, they're also pandering to, I mean, a constituency that wants to see them combative in a certain way.
Exactly.
It's
Which is not going to get anyone anywhere. Yeah.
no. I mean, nobody is able to be a real bore about it and just being like, wait, no, this is
Here's the situation.
this is what we need to do. I
Yeah.
mean, real stylists are also real bores. Like Gore Vidal described himself as, he said, I am at heart a tremendous hater, a tiresome nag, um, complacently positive that there is nothing that would be solved if people would only do as I advise.
Yeah.
Like, we need a nag. We need somebody who's able to nag about these things and who's able to put them in different ways each time. Like that's the problem, is that you can't. Sloganizing like cheapens everything.
Yeah.
That was partly what was so good about Hitchens and Vidal, is because they had enough of a command of a language that they were able to put the same point to people in different ways each time they talked about it.
Oh, sure.
With Hitchens, it was extraordinary the way he was able to just switch the wording so that it was a beautiful way to say it each time. It was a memorable way to say it each time, so that if one thing didn't stick in your head, another thing would. And he had a gift for memorable phrasing.
Absolutely. No.
But
No, I agree. So hopefully, someone can. It'd be cool if there was like just a book came out that was like just a great statement. That'd be awesome.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I like what Colin Quinn has to say, but he
Yeah. Still a comedian. Yeah.
a comedian, and comedians sort of have to be non-authoritative.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for a comedian to do that, because you need somebody with an authoritative voice. And if you're a comedian, because it's an art for the masses, you have to be non-threatening. And
Yeah.
there needs to be somebody on the left who's really threatening and is really able to, this looming presence, this looming intelligence, who's able to really destroy all this stuff.
Exactly. Well, hey, I guess I think we're kind of running a bit long. Should we just end it there?
Okay.
Okay. No worries. Okay. Well, that was our thing. I also just realized I was just recording one of our screens, but fuck it. So it's all good.
Oh, which one?
All right. I think it's just you the whole time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My bad.
Oh, shit.
It's a Zoom. I hate Zoom. Anyway.
Oh, too
Okay.
bad.
Well, thank you guys for listening.